Alright, we're live, coming at you from the old office here. I wanted to come to you guys and talk to you for a few minutes about a situation that has arisen. It's nothing really major, but it's kind of a bummer. Essentially, I guess I should start off talking about how this all began. So, if you guys watch a lot of my videos and you follow along, you know that I recently had acquired a 1993 Trans Am. That car I made a video about. Have it playing here so you can kind of see what we're talking about. So basically, that car I bought it for cash. I fixed the major issue. Basically, when I got it, the transmission was leaking ATF out of it. All I had to do to it to fix it was I replaced the gasket on the transmission pan, and while I was in there, I replaced the filter and all the fluids. So I did a full transmission service on the car. Did a couple other things. I changed the wheels to something with a better offset on them and looked a little bit better. Just stupid little stuff to it. Nothing too crazy. But after I had bought the car, before I had done any of this work, I had shown it to a friend of mine. I brought it to his work while it was on my trailer, and I was hauling it back to my shop. And I told him that I had it. He came out and looked at it, and he really wanted the car. He was really into it. Obviously, it's not a perfect car. It's from 1993. Has its share of little problems, that kind of thing. But he came out and he took a look at it. He really wanted it. He went and he asked his boss to borrow the money. His boss seemed receptive to the idea at first, but then he changed his mind at the end of the day, said, I don't think that's a good idea, didn't loan him the money, but the guy was still serious, really wanted the car, and I wanted to help him out. I considered him a friend, and he really wanted the car. So he goes on to tell me that he was selling his truck. He had a Ford Excursion, so he's selling his truck. And so I said, okay, well, let me know. He said there's a lot of people interested, so I said that's awesome. So just let me know when you sell it, and you're the first, my first priority, selling it to you. So a few days pass. I think about this car on like a Thursday or a Friday or something. I let the whole weekend pass. I didn't even post it for sale until like Tuesday of the next week. He wasn't able to sell the truck in that time. He was asking probably a little high on it, so there wasn't really a whole ton of people that were serious about buying it because of how high the price was. So he goes and he's trying to sell the truck, and finally, I just finally post the car for sale online. I posted it on like Facebook Marketplace, asking like $2,200-$2,300 for it, which is a little higher than market value on that car, but I figured people were gonna try and negotiate anyway, so that's what I posted it for. So then he starts getting a little antsy, getting a little bit nervous, and he's trying to figure out a way to get the money because he's nervous that somebody's going to buy the car out from under him. So, okay. He presents to me later in the week that he has this motorcycle. It's like a 99 CBR 600 F4. Worth probably about the same as the car. It's probably an equal trade. But, I told him, we could probably work on something for that, so that way he gets the car. I would have to sell the motorcycle. I need to sell it. I don't have You know, I don't have the money right now to just be keeping every single thing. I buy stuff, kind of play with it for a while, fix it up, and then after a little while, I've decided to sell it when I think the time is right. And but really just wasn't in the market for a motorcycle, and so, but I was doing it to help him. So days go by, I got people interested in the car. We haven't really nailed down how we were going to make this trade happen. He was a little on the fence about it anyway, and I told him repeatedly, you don't have to do this. You know, it's not any hard feelings. You know, you can just keep trying to sell your bike and or sell your truck, and you know, when you do, I'm more than happy to work out the trade from there. So finally, you know, time goes by. I have people that are trying to set up times to look at the car. People offering me other trades. One guy offered me a Harley on trade. If you watch one of my previous videos, I talked about all the stuff that I was offered for the car. And so finally, Saturday morning, he's like, you know what, I'm ready to trade, but can you bring the car up? He was in Fredericksburg, and pick up the bike here. And I said, yeah, that's fine. So I bring the car up there. He's really excited about the car, really excited to do this trade when he sees the car, and he's looking it all over, showing it off to other people he works with, all that. And I go ahead and I grab the bike, and everything seems to be working out pretty good. He's telling me that he really wants to buy the bike back. As soon as he sells his truck, he's going to buy the bike back. He really wants it back, but, you know, if I sell it, no hard feelings. So I say, all right, well, you know, I'll give you a little bit more time to sell the truck, but, you know, I can't keep the bike forever. So he said, yeah, no worries. So that's kind of paraphrasing the conversation, obviously, but so I let the whole weekend go by. So all day Saturday, all day Sunday, don't post a bike for sale. Monday, I title the thing in my name, and I post it for sale, but really expecting that nobody's going to buy it during the week. I mean, yesterday is when I posted it yesterday morning after I got back from the DMV. But things like this, they don't usually sell during the week, but people will see it and know that they want it for the weekend, so give them time to get their money together, is what I'm figuring, because I'm used to this. I've done this a few times. So there's people interested in the bike, but not like a crazy amount of interest. There's like 2 or 3 people that ask about it. One guy asked me if I'll trade the bike for like a Gixxer 600. Another guy tried to trade me some piece of crap pickup truck that was like a Mazda B3300 that had a rotary engine swap in it. Like literally the worst truck you could possibly trade for. You know, no offense to that guy. I'm sure he's plenty of a nice guy, but you know, rotary engines suck anyway unless they've got a lot of modifications and turbos on them, and his didn't have any of that. His had like a Holley 4-barrel carburetor on it, and that was it. And I told him I'm not really interested in it, but if you want to add cash on top, you know, I'll consider it. And he got a little offended. He said, well, the engine itself is worth $1,500. And I said, yeah, maybe if you can find somebody that wants it, but I don't like the truck in the first place, and I especially don't like it even more because it has a rotary engine in it. But that's all besides the fact. Finally, one guy, funny enough, had messaged me over Facebook about the bike, and he was trying to buy it for $1,500, and he said, I got $1,500 cash right now, crisp 100s. And I told him, well, go ahead and add 5 more crisp 100s to that, and we can probably work something out. And he proceeded to really try and hardball me on it, telling me all about how he's sold so many motorcycles and how these aren't worth anything, and he just sold one not that long ago and all this. And I said, yeah, man, well, you know, I think I really will just keep it at that point. I'm not gonna kill myself over it, you know. And funny enough, literally a couple minutes after he messaged me, another guy messaged me and said, hey, will you take $2,000 for it tonight? And I said, yeah, I can do that. So You know, not making really any money on this deal. By the time you figure all the hauling around on this car I did, going back and forth, and then the money and my time in it, I really didn't make anything on it. But, you know, it's just fun to play around with stuff. It wasn't like a big money-making endeavor on my part by any means. So this was earlier in the day, and I said, well, what time can you come out? He says, after work. I get off work about 4 o'clock, but I'm a long drive away. I said, well, that's fine. Just give me a call when you get off work. So about 4:30 rolls around. I call the guy to verify that he's still coming out. He says, yes, I'm definitely coming out. I'm going to go rent a trailer from U-Haul, and I'm heading out. I said, okay, that's cool. So at that point, I call my friend who I got the bike from, because now the situation's getting, like, legitimate. It's getting real. And I don't want him to feel like I, you know, sold the bike out from underneath him here. So I call him up, let him know. I say, hey man, there's a guy ready to buy this bike right now for $2,000, but I wanted to let you know what was going on before anything. See, you know, just make sure everything is cool on your part. And he's a little bummed, but he's like, yeah man, you know, just do whatever you gotta do. I said, fine, okay. So I tell the guy, so the guy goes and I tell him, yeah man, so we're all good, you know, come on by. And so the guy goes, he rents a U-Haul, and he starts heading up the highway with the thing. And it, you know, he's quite a ways away. You know, he's all the way down by Virginia Beach, so he's almost 2 hours away from me. So an hour goes by into his drive, and all of a sudden I'm getting a text from this dude that I got the bike from, and he's really upset. He's like, well, the first text he sent, I should probably read it, so I don't want to show it because I don't want to like put out his information, but he said something like, hang on, he said, man, look, at least tell the dude that buys it I've got a lot of parts for it, man. I got so fucked on this trade, and it's not your fault. I wanted it. Just give dude my number and forget about me. And I was like thinking, well, that's kind of a weird thing. He was pretty excited about having the car at first, and then all of a sudden he's kind of changing his tune now that, you know, I'm able to sell the bike pretty quicker than he was able to sell his truck by a long shot. I mean, he's had the truck for sale for weeks and really hasn't had anybody too serious about it, and I pretty much right away was able to sell the bike. But I was like, you know, I'm not going to reply to this. It's like, he's my friend. I don't want to forget about him. Like, he's upset, but, you know, I mean, there's not much I can do now. If he was really that upset, he should have mentioned it earlier, and we could have figured out what we could do to make everybody happy here. But then, like, another little while later, he texts me and says, the car is a straight POS. In case you don't know what that means, a piece of fucking shit. Everyone told me don't do it. That car is real junk. At this point, I'm kind of confused because he was totally excited about having the car all the way up until an hour after I tell him that I was able to sell the thing that he traded me to try and recoup my costs here in helping him out. And I mean, I didn't have to sell him this car. I had plenty of other people that were interested. I would have been happy to sell it to somebody I don't know, but he really wanted the car, so I was trying to help him out. So, you know, I'm sitting here like, what is he talking about? So I text him back, and I tell him, I said, I don't understand why everything is an issue now. If you had told me that you had a serious issue and felt so strongly earlier, I would have let you swap back. Actually, true, I would have. I would have been happy to, because I'd rather keep the good relationship with my friend as opposed to going out and making him feel like he's screwed over on this car, and you know, and having hard feelings towards me. It's not worth it. And I told him, I said, you know, even if you had mentioned it when I called an hour ago, I would have swapped you back. We would have scheduled it up. We would have met up. You would have had your bike back. I would have had the car back. We just start from scratch. It would have sucked for me because, you know, this is all this time I would have been spending, you know, dealing with all all these trades, moving him around, all this, but it's fine. I'll take it just to make him happy. So I said, but I'm not going to turn the guy around after he's driven an hour and paid to rent a U-Haul trailer. I mean, that's not right either. I mean, I can't screw over one person to make another person happy. It just doesn't work that way. So then all of a sudden this dude is accusing me of trying to screw him over on the car, which I didn't. I mean, I didn't have the car that long, honestly, to know every single thing about it. It's a car from 1993. I bought it. I fixed the problems that I knew it had that prevented it from driving, but it was in no means a perfect car. As you can see from the video, if you watch the video that I made, it's still up. After this is over, you can go ahead and watch it. But the fact of the matter is he, you know, it was never represented to be a perfect car, and he knew I didn't know every single thing about it. There's no way I could have. It's not like I was driving it daily for a year and knew every single problem with it. And I don't have a crystal ball. So he's telling me that the car is overheating and has all these problems. To me, it's not a big deal. Like, the issue with the car was when I was working on it, noticed that it had a bad coolant hose. Replaced coolant hose. Didn't buy coolant, just put water in it because I didn't think I was going to have it that long. And I told him when he took the car that there's not antifreeze in this car. There's just water. He knew that before he took the car. It was fine. It was driving fine just with water in the cooling system. When you bring a car to a drag strip, you're not even allowed to run antifreeze in your car at a drag strip because if it leaks coolant, they don't want a bunch of antifreeze all over their racetrack. So it's very common for cars to have water in the cooling system. So he goes and he's telling me that I knew there was an issue with the car and I did this just to screw him over, which isn't true. I had no problem not selling it to him. I had no problem selling it just to somebody else, and I would have sold fine. If it's overheating, it's probably because it just has water in the system or it has an air bubble somewhere in it, or at worst, it has a dead fan or a relay or something. These engines, it definitely didn't have a blown head gasket. There's no water in the oil. There's no oil in the coolant. I know for a fact it doesn't have a blown head gasket, so it's pretty limited as to what would make a car overheat. You know, just for those of you that are wondering, you know, pretty much that car is pretty basic. Has a thermostat, has a water pump, and has a radiator and some electric fans. So it's going to be one of those things. That car is not going to overheat for pretty much any other reason other than those things. So he's getting really upset over it, but I'm really feeling like he's just upset because he knows that I'm able to sell his bike. That's all there is to it. So then I'm kind of just ignoring him because he's getting a little crazy. He's getting a little over the top, a little hysterical about it, and there's nothing I can do to help him. I tell him, listen, if the guy doesn't buy the bike for some reason, tomorrow I'll be happy to swap you back. But I'm not turning him around, and if he wants the bike after he's driven this far, I'm going to sell it to him. And it's my legal right to do so. I mean, I own it. That's all there is to it. So I want to answer a couple of these chats. So Paul, I've gone ahead and made it so that the chat shows up in the video. So the chat is being recorded in the video along with, you know, also being a live chat that you can play back when you play back the video. But Paul likes to retract his messages, and he thinks that the NSA is watching him, and I'm always a little bit perturbed about that, because then I try to answer his chats, but they're all retracted, so people that watch the video after the fact don't know what I'm talking about. But now he can't hide, because even though he's retracted them, they're still saved in the recording, the archive version of this video, no matter what he does. But he said, yeah, the NSA. Yeah, well, I mean, the NSA is going to know now, Paul. There's nothing you can do. But he said, started off by saying, just before you were done, you should drop the mic drop. This mic is actually on a stand. It's a boom stand, so I'm not holding it at all. So unless I like take apart the stand, I really can't drop the mic. Tell the truth, this is the casting couch, isn't it? I do not post my casting couch videos on YouTube because it's against their community guidelines. But yes, I have the casting couch. right behind me here. So there's the casting couch. This is it, man. You found it. You found the casting couch. And he had retracted a message earlier, but I actually can still see it, and he says that he's not gay, but $20 is $20. Yeah, man, you know, I mean, how many guys can you turn over in a day for $20? You probably make $1 million being a gay gigolo, if that's what you're into. He says, put on some music by Wham and start dancing around, do your thing. I can't because YouTube has this copyright violation system. So if I put on music like that, they're likely to take down my video and nobody will be able to see it. So I guess that won't work. Paul says that he's rich. Can I borrow some money, Paul? So anyway, continuing on. Guy is like on his way still, and now my friend's wife is starting to message me because he's upset, making her upset. I understand. I have no hard feelings towards her about it, but she's making these various types of threats here. I'm trying to straighten out my camera. Paul says he's got $20 for me. I mean, if he wants to make a donation, I can give him my PayPal, but there's no guarantee as to what he'll actually get for his $20. But anyway, she's starting to like make these threats towards me, saying that the car is a straight lemon. For those of you that don't understand what lemon means or what lemon law is, and I invite you to check me on this, to do your research on this, but lemon describes a car which was manufactured to a below par quality standard. What used to happen was some cars just were manufactured poorly. They would leave the factory, go to the dealership brand new, and people would have constant issues with them. So that was where they came up with the lemon law. Essentially what the lemon law is if you go and you buy a brand new car and you have to bring it in for service 3 times for the same issue, have the same issue diagnosed and repaired 3 times, then it falls under lemon law. So this law only applies to brand new vehicles, and even with a brand new vehicle, meaning that it has never ever been owned by anybody else but you. You are the first owner of this car after it's been manufactured, and you've had it serviced for the same problem at least 3 times for the exact same issue and the same diagnosis, or the car has been in service for a certain period of time. And I think that period of time varies from state to state, but if it's over like 90 days in service, trying to get fixed, you can claim lemon law against the manufacturer. Generally, manufacturers don't just buy your car straight back, even under lemon law. So what will happen is they'll offer you something called trade assistance, where they will essentially take your car back to prevent you from going and saying that this is a lemon, then they stamp the title a lemon, it's worth nothing. So they'll buy your car back without going through the lemon law process for the same amount that you paid for the car and apply that money towards a different brand new car, usually the same one. So essentially they're just going to swap with you. But sometimes people will have to take lemon law to court. If they take lemon law to court, they prove their case, they'll stamp the title a lemon, they'll have to crush the car, and that'll be it. It'll be all gone. But you cannot claim lemon law against a used vehicle purchase. It doesn't matter if you bought the car with only 100 miles on it and it was like a demo vehicle. If it's sold as used, meaning it had been titled in somebody else's name, it's used, period. Lemon law does not ever apply to a used car. Secondly, all used car transactions, private party to private party, will always be considered as is unless otherwise stated. And it has to be in a bill of sale, in black and white, stated there is a warranty. This does not exist on this car. So the automatic assumption of the state, in the state in which I live, is that this transaction is considered an as-is sale, meaning that you have no claims against me after you've purchased this car. Now, these two things in mind. It's as is, and it's used, so no lemon law applies. She's trying to say that she'll take me to court if I don't turn around and give them the bike back and reverse this whole transaction. I'll tell you right now, there's absolutely no one, no dealer, no private party has any reason to reverse your transaction. This is a public service announcement right now. If you are buying a used car and you take the used car home, and whether it's from a used car dealer or whether it's from a private party, you bring that used car home, there is no leverage you have against the dealer or against the private party which you bought your car from to leverage them to reverse your transaction. Now, with that being said, there are used car dealers which deal in both new and used cars that offer extended warranties, or sometimes it's under factory warranty. At that point, they will fix your car. That's not a problem. But in most cases, I have very rarely heard of a dealer totally reversing a transaction, and it just doesn't happen. So now you want to take a private party sale between two friends and try and leverage your friend to reverse a sale. I don't have to do that. I don't have a reason to do that. You can feel free to take me to court, but you're not going to win. Essentially, in a situation like this, they would have to pay court costs to even bring the case, which vary between $150 and $300 depending on what you're trying to claim. And then all I would have to do is show up to court. I probably wouldn't even have to present a case against them. I could probably just stand there, have them tell the story to the judge, and the judge just under statute would have to rule against them. I mean, there's not a case here. The only reason why I'm even talking to these people at this point is because I'm friends with the guy and I care about him and I want him to, you know what I mean? I want him to be happy. I don't want him to think I've done him wrong. But at a certain point, it's becoming clear that there's nothing I can do that'll make him happy. There's nothing I can do that will change his ill will towards me. So with that being the case, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. Anyway, I call her, try to explain to her these things, and she is adamant that lemon law applies to a used car. It definitely doesn't. Especially not a car from 1993. I mean, we're in 2018. This is a car from 1993. It's so far away from lemon law, it's ridiculous. She has no claim as far as that's concerned. It's not a lemon anyway. It has a minor issue, which, the car was pretty much presented as being a little bit of a project. I mean, it wasn't presented as a brand new car with absolutely no issues with it. I mean, I told him when he took it, and I told her, I shook this car down after I worked on it. I drove it around. I put almost 200 miles on it. Didn't have an issue like that. So if you get an issue now, I'm sorry. I don't know. That's what happens. It's just like if he traded me the bike and, something catastrophic happened with it. I couldn't go back to him and be like, well, you knew this bike had a problem. I can't. I can't do that. And I wouldn't expect to do that. I wouldn't even do that to him. I would just tell him, like, hey, this is what happened, man. This is what I had to do to fix it. And it would be all good. I would never do that to him. And it sucks that he's doing that to me. We're friends, and I have no problem. If he wants to bring the car here and let me look it over and we can work out a way to fix it, I have no problem with that. He's still my friend. But when you get to the point when I called him, he's yelling and screaming. He's in absolute hysterics over this. He's acting totally immature about the situation. I got nothing I can do for him. And it's sad because it could have been handled so much better. And honestly, I'm sad that he feels that way. And I'm sad that he's going to have some ill will towards me because he's my friend. But at the end of the day, I got nothing I can do for him. I mean, Paul wants to know how old is he. I think he's in his 30s, maybe 35, perhaps. I don't want to put out too much of his information because I don't want him, if he sees this video somehow, I don't want him to think I'm trying to say something bad about him. Because I don't think there's anything bad to say about him here. I think that, if I'm going to say something bad about him, what I will say is I don't think he handled the situation right. He didn't handle the situation. I would have handled it. You know, he should have, in my personal opinion, just told me, hey man, you know, I'm having some problems with this. Can we try and fix them? I would have been happy to help him. If he had told me, you know, just handle it like an adult, man. That's all there is to it. But he texted me this morning and apologized for the way that he acted. He said that he'd been drinking, and you know, he was sorry about it. But I feel like he probably still has some hard feelings about it, and it sucks. And honestly, if I had a crystal ball and I could go back and never trade with him in the first place and just sell the car outright, I would have been better off. I would have sold the car for the same exact amount. Same exact amount, probably in the same amount of time, because I would have had the car posted, you know, longer. So I should have never even considered it. I mean, I should have known, you know, if it had been some guy off the street that I didn't know and he got upset, whatever, you know what I mean? I would have just been like, yeah, well, you know, he's an idiot, you know, if I was a random guy off the street. But where he's my friend, it really sucks, because now, you know, I lost a friend over a car that I didn't even have to didn't have to trade him, didn't really want to trade with him, honestly. I was trying to do it because he really wanted the car, and now it's like a big regret. Paul says, you ever consider making movies? I mean, I kind of make movies. I'm on YouTube. I'm making videos. It's almost a movie. I don't know what other kind of movie you would want me to make. Like maybe like a full-length feature film. Maybe like, you know, if some people want me to, I could make like a fictional, like 90-minute film and upload it to YouTube. That would be kind of cool, but I don't know what I'd make it about. It's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of editing to make like a 10-minute video, like edited and produced really well. Generally, you can just multiply the length of a video that you're watching by like 5, and that's how long it takes to edit. So Josh says, what friend are you talking about? Josh, you know, if you watch the beginning of the video, I explained the situation. I don't want to put his name out there. You know who I'm talking about. My suggestion is Josh, just watch the whole video and go from there. I'm not saying anything bad about him. You know, I'm just kind of talking about what happened. I don't want to put out his information. I don't want him to think like I'm trying to badmouth him or talk shit here, because that's not the case. But like I said, just watch the whole thing and you'll see. I think you can actually scroll the video back and start it from the beginning and hear it all while I'm still live. Paul says I should make a movie about fixing and selling cars. Yeah, I could do a movie about that. I don't know how interesting it would be. He says, can you do a stoppie on that bike or an endo? Probably could. I don't want to try it, and I don't have the bike here anymore. It's already sold, so I can't even attempt it now. But I wouldn't want to. Not like a super sport bike like that. That's like, if it goes bad, it goes really bad, and you damage the bike really bad. I'd probably try it on a dirt bike, like in some grass, so if you do eat shit trying to do a stoppie, it's not as bad as scraping down the pavement. So Josh says, I gotcha. Yeah, Josh, I know Josh from outside of the internet. I know him personally, so he also knows about the situation, I think, and I'm sure he's heard about it already. So but yeah. Paul says, can you pop a wheelie on a bicycle? Yeah, man. Actually, funny story about popping wheelies on bicycles. When I was a kid, we lived in this area in Maine called Greenfield, and the property on which we lived had a school bus depot on the same property, because we rented the property. My parents rented the property. It had a school bus depot up on top of the hill of the property, and it had like a couple piles of gravel, and the whole driveway was gravel. But in the driveway, there were 2 houses on this property, and in our driveway there was like this big rock, like probably the size of a soccer ball, that was sticking up I don't know, probably almost 6 inches. At least that's the way I remember it. Anyway, so me and the kids next door would use this rock to give us a pop to get the front wheel of the bicycle up in the air. So we come riding right up to it and pop the wheel right up, and we eventually like got going so good at it that we could use this rock as a little jump, and we jump our bicycles off this rock. And then I got the idea. I picked up like some wood, like some like 2x6s from around the yard or that we had around, and I think I used like a cinder block, and I started using that as a jump. So everything started progressing more and more and more. And eventually, at one point, I had set up my little jump and was practicing jumping my bicycle on this 2x6 and cinder block. And one day I had the cinder block kind of further back, and the 2x6 was hanging off it a little bit. But I was pretty young, and I didn't realize that that would be a problem. And I hit this jump that I built that was not held together in any way, shape, or form. And I hit it, and the board slid forward, and the whole jump collapsed. And I came off my bike, the front wheel of the bike stuffed into the ground. I went ass over tea kettle, flipped over frontwards just like an endo like you were talking about, and just slid my face across the gravel, scraped up my whole entire face. I still have a scar on my face to this day, and it was all bleeding everywhere. I came inside, my mom freaked out, and she took me straight to the doctor, but it wasn't a big deal. They just gave like some antibacterial ointment. I went to school, man, and I had scabs all over my face, man. It was so bad. I was messed up. So that's a funny story about bicycles. But yeah, that was actually some fun times there. Had neighbor kids to hang out with and everything. Paul Tracy likes bacteria. I bet that's why Paul probably licks windows and doorknobs, because he likes bacteria. So yeah, that's the situation. When I made this video, I didn't want to like make anybody look bad. I didn't want to complain about anybody, but I know you guys watch because you're interested in some of you guys are interested in the things I got going on. And, you know, I just wanted to tell you guys about the situation I've got happening at the shop, my latest situation, maybe let you guys learn a lesson from the lesson I learned. You know, learn from my mistakes. Like I said, it's a big regret. I wish I had never even done it, and I thought I was doing something good, and now I regret it, and I feel bad. Not trying to make anybody look bad. It probably looks worse on me than anything, because this was dumb, you know. I mean, I was told all my life not to do business with family and friends, so dude, you should do more video on transmissions, not trannies. Okay. I don't think I made a video on a tranny. I have made videos on transmissions, but okay. I don't know what else to say. If you have a question about transmission, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer it to the best of my ability. But yeah, we're going on about 38 minutes in this stream, and if you guys have watched this far, you probably like the video, at least a little bit. And if you like the video, give it a like so other people know that it's good. And if you can stand my voice this long and my ugly face this long, then you might as well just go ahead and subscribe, because I mean, it doesn't get worse than this, I hope. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.